talk about this story here. A federal judge has ordered Alabama to use a new state Senate map in the upcoming 2026 elections, ruling that the current districts illegally dilute the voting power of black residents in Montgomery. U.S. District Judge Anna Monasco, a Trump appointee, found that the state violated the Voting Rights Act by packing black voters into Senate District 26, limiting their influence elsewhere. The new court-selected map unpacks District 26 by redistributing some black voters into the adjacent District 25. State Senators Kirk Hatcher, a Democrat, and Will Barfoot, a Republican, currently represent these districts. Governor Kay Ivey declined to call a special legislative session to redraw the map, leaving the court to impose a new plan. While this change shifts voter demographics in the area, it is not expected to affect the Republican supermajority in the Alabama Senate. In North Carolina, a three-judge panel in North Carolina recently heard arguments regarding a lawsuit challenging the state's new congressional maps. The lawsuit alleges that Republican lawmakers redrew the district lines to dilute black voting power, specifically by dividing a long-standing black opportunity district in eastern North Carolina, that's the one Don Davis has, in order to secure an additional GOP seat. Deborah Dix Maxwell, president of the North Carolina NAACP, highlighted the urgency of advocating for federal representation. Legal experts indicate that the plaintiffs will need to demonstrate intentional racial bias in the process of drawing the maps. With the candidate filing deadline approaching on December 1st, a court ruling is expected soon. Greg, I want to go back to the Alabama Senate map.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I kept trying to explain to people, why that Louisiana case is so important. And if the Supreme Court rules in favor of the plaintiffs and they say race can't be used, what that is going to unleash, it is going to unleash potentially 12 to up to 30 CBC and Latino seats wiped out. But it's going to then be cascading downward. It's going to impact state races as well, local races. And we're seeing right here in Alabama, again, federal judges and a Supreme Court rule creating the opportunity district that Shamari Figures is in. Now you're talking about this right here. Look, the supermajority in Mississippi was broken because a federal judge ruled that black folks were being screwed over. So the reality is that black power in the South is on the precipice of being wiped out because these right-wingers want to destroy Section 2 of the 1965 Voting Rights Act.
No, they absolutely do. But, you know, it is interesting, isn't it, Roland? None of this is written in stone. None of it is written in stone. Certainly, it's very encouraging to see the three-judge panel in Texas, as you've been reporting, say that this is a racial gerrymander. Of course, it's now going to go directly to the Supreme Court because in those instances, you have two district court judges and one appeals court judge that make those rulings when it comes to an issue like gerrymander, and then it's going to go straight to the Supreme Court. But, of course, the fact that you had both a Trump appointee and a Reagan appointee as two of the three judges in Texas really gives some encouragement. And the fact that this is a Trump appointee in Alabama certainly sends a message. All of those judges that Trump appointed, he didn't know any of their names. He wouldn't pick them out of a lineup. He was given lists by the Federalist Society. And that should give us a little bit of encouragement because these are judges that have been vetted by that right-wing think tank, that right-wing nasty piece of work, Leo and his crew. So for them to say this, it may very well be signaling that they've taken and gone a bridge too far. Now, certainly we don't hold out a whole lot of hope for the MAGA 6 on the Supreme Court as it relates to the case, as you say, in the Supreme Court gerrymander case that is now before the court. However, the Louisiana case, Calais. However, it could very well be that they may apply the brakes, if for no other reason than if you completely destroy Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, they've got to know that this may very well become an issue in the midterm elections, and it will become an issue that could ultimately lead, if the Democrats can capture the House, capture the Senate, and capture the presidency 2 years later, to expanding the number of people on the court. I think if we look back in 2 years and see such a thing begin to be in the pipeline, a great deal of it will be because these decisions that are coming out now. And we got to wait on the Supreme Court. But I tell you, man, I think they may be now signaling that it might be better to compromise with these black folk and compromise on some of this stuff than go so hard in the paint that the white lash and the backlash leads to them losing everything. So it is a very interesting development today.
Again, what it goes to show you is they want to go after. I can't say this enough, Reese, to the people who don't get it. They want to go after everything black. And people need to wake up and understand what's going on. They understand that if you attack and eradicate black political power, you're impacting black economic power. You're impacting it in education, nonprofit. It cascades all the way. So there's a reason that we are being targeted.
Well, absolutely there is. And we've always been in the bullseye. But I think to Dr. Carr's point, they recognize that we are at a precipice where they can go balls to the walls all the way off the deep end, but doing so at a time of great economic peril with great dissatisfaction and disillusionment within the country could backfire in very violent ways that I don't think that they're prepared for. I think that some of the people in this administration, by moving into military officer housing that they have no business being in, is kind of anticipating a bigger response to their policies and the results of the things that they're putting in motion. But I don't think that the judges are quite prepared to go that far. So we'll see whether or not these judges and up to the Supreme Court are prepared to go all in with the circumstances that we're in now. My inkling is that they might understand that preserving, we're talking about one black here, one black there, a couple of blacks, let's have our little 12 blacks stay in Congress and keep people just a little bit more calm, a little bit more chill, versus going all the way over on the other side where people realize like, well, hey, I don't actually have citizenship. I don't actually have the ability to influence who has power over the area that I occupy. So maybe I have to go about this a different way. And I don't think that anybody wants that. And I've been saying for years that I certainly don't want that.
Joy?
One of the other concerns here is that, it's hard to say that this isn't racially motivated and this is just about party politics when you're seeing rampant racism within the Republican Party and that they're putting it online and they're putting it in text and that they're saying it in speeches. It's really hard to say that. I mean, there's a record here of motivations. And so no matter what they might say in polite company, we understand what's being said, really for the record, for us all to see. And many judges don't want to be a part of that. I think there's also a real concern that we are under a threat to our democracy and that there have to be checks and balances. And that when you vest in all one party and you allow one party to completely take over, that what you do is you create a scenario where what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So next time you can see Democrats doing the exact same thing and courts having to uphold it because that's been the law before. So I do think that there are some real, concerns here that a court must look at. By and large, this court has also been hesitant to disadvantage Black people in terms of redistricting directly, right? There does seem to be some hesitancy by the court to do that. And so we'll see that with us, this traditional group, when they're seeing that there is a real targeting of us, that there might be some pause. Certainly we've seen it at the lower court level. I think that hopefully we will have a better outcome than we've seen in the past at the Supreme Court level. But Republicans should know that whatever happens that they're able to do, Democrats will be able to do the same. And we do not want, as Reese said, this kind of pendulum swing. And I think that they are anticipating that people are going to be very upset about this. Yeah. As Greg Carr said, it's not a fait accompli. You got to vote in the fall.
There you go. That's what we always say constantly.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.